I got a chance to talk to God and ask him all my questions. I asked why people have to find the pain to learn the lesson. I asked him why we gotta suffer more than we can smile. I asked him why he's gotta take a mother from a child and turn around and make the kid abandoned and alone. And show him that there never was a place that he called home. Or show him to the streets to teach him lessons of morality. The pain inside his heart will soon turn into immortality. He told me I'm too human now.
Oh God. Y'all know you make me tired, right? Y'all make me tired. You know those days you sometimes feel like not doing anything? That's how I'm feeling today. Not that I don't like doing my podcast, but when you put in work, when you put in effort, you do get tired. Because you're working so hard throughout the day and it's just tiring. But y'all know I'm exuberant. Y'all know I'm extravagant. So, let's go ahead and move on with the show. We got a young brother here, go by Vice on his Instagram page. He is a once-in-a-lifetime talent. He is a maestro at his own things. He is a guy you need to get in touch with to be great. All the people I put on here are people you need to get in touch with to be great. Take their knowledge, take their wisdom, and take every piece of advice that you get and run with it. You see, these men out here are trying to chase their dreams. Chase your dreams. You saw on my last podcast, take the wisdom of what he has for you older cats out there. Don't wait, because all you're doing is hurting yourself. And nobody wants that. This brother is from Arizona. He has his own art group making music called the AZ Clique, and I'm going to go ahead and call him right now so he can tell you more about it. I hope y'all are ready, because this is going to be fun.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you feeling today?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. You enjoying this heat they bring on Arizona today?
Yes, sir. It's been like that for a while now.
It sucks. I miss the 70-degree weather where I could be comfortable. My car wouldn't be too damn hot. I don't know what's been going on. But anyway, go ahead and introduce yourself. Introduce the culture you're trying to bring. Introduce who you are as a person and why you want to be great.
So my artist name is Vice. I've been going by that because for two reasons. I mean, obviously when I'm making my hype shit, I want to be the problem for the industry, right? But when I'm making my real shit, I like to talk about real problems going on in the world. I think a lot of my inspiration, it comes from I've been creative, always had a strong imagination, storytelling, that mixed with the love that I found in the hip-hop rap genre a few years ago, listening to Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, that type of storytelling and the spin that they put on it. So I think that's where a lot of my roots came from, especially in my styles. And then reason why I want to be great is just ever since I was young, I think one of my biggest fears ever has been dying and then everyone immediately forgetting me. I want to leave my mark on this world, I want to, at the end of the day, I want to be able to step back and people can look at me and be like, man, he actually did something, he changed this world. Because not everyone gets that opportunity.
That is true, because there's a lot of forgotten souls, whether they forcibly forgotten about you so they don't cry about it, or where you were irrelevant and they don't want to remember you at all. But I feel like everybody's here to put their footprint down on earth, so everybody has a say, everybody has a voice, and I say everybody has a talent. You just have to find your talent and what you're good at. And you believe that you found your talent?
I do. I mean, I've been only writing music for about a year and a half, and I'm already getting some attention of radio stations, and there's a local kind of label, kind of just artist grouping that's trying to work with me. I mean, they're getting big plays on SoundCloud, so I think that people hear my music and they think, oh shit, this kid can actually do it.
And where would you say your biggest inspiration comes from? If you had to name one artist from whether you were a kid and you first heard them and you were like, okay, whether that be Outkast, Big Daddy Kane, whoever, we could go old school or new school. Who would you say had the biggest push in your life to be like, okay, this is what I want to do?
So that's an easy one for me. I mean, it's more new school, but Kendrick Lamar. I mean, I went from not even liking the genre of hip hop and rap to being immersed in it. I mean, I'm talking, I think I've listened to probably almost every single Kendrick Lamar song that is still released and able to listen to. And it's just the way he can not only tell a story, but make you feel it, not just being like, oh, that's some nice wordplay, or oh, I see what he did there, but like he tells a whole story and he's building on it with every single bar while still being creative. It's just, it's art. It's not music at that point. It's just art.
Did you see his performance at the Oscars 3 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Man, if y'all haven't checked out his performance in the Oscars, he was talking about the problems now 3 years ago. He knew exactly what was going on, but nobody took it seriously at that point. And just to give a little knowledge, if you didn't know, he's releasing a new album on the 20th next month of July.
Really?
Yep. You know he doesn't really talk about when it's going to be released. He kind of just drops it and be like, here you go. But
yeah.
That's the kind of guy he is. But nobody gets mad at it like Damn. Nobody knew when Damn was coming out, but when he dropped it, you knew what it was at that point. You knew exactly what it was.
That's something I love about him. He knows exactly what his audience is. He don't need to hype up the fanfare. He doesn't need to, build up nothing. He goes down his project and people listen, and he knows exactly who he's reaching with that.
Exactly. He's like, whether you like it or hate it, you're going to hear it. I hope you know. So I don't need to do no promotions. I don't need to do no advertising. It's coming out. You just play the guessing game, but I'll release it when I want to. And I love it. How long have you been creative? Not creative writing, just creative in life.
I mean, I can take that two ways because, as far as, making creative projects, I have only been doing that for maybe a few years. But, ever since I was a little kid, I've had, a really vivid imagination, there was a point in time where I was so creative, I could start telling myself a story before bed, and so when I went to bed and fell asleep, I would dream about the story that I started. It's just, I've always had an ability to make a story in my head or create something. So, if we're going from that end, I'd say ever since I was little.
That's a hell of a talent to tell yourself a story and then dream upon the story. I have never done that in my life. Wow. I watch TV and then I would dream about the show I just watched. I know I had a dream about, if you remember, My Little Vampire. Yeah, that's what I dreamed about one time. And I took the kids' place and I actually had a vampire friend and we went to the movie theaters, and then everybody got bit. But other than that, I never told myself a bedtime story. Damn, that's hella creativity. I'll give you that. And what you're writing now, what would you say what story would you say you're trying to tell?
So, there's two stories that I'm coming at. Originally, before all the stuff that started getting really big in our country started getting big, I was trying to tell the story of basically the other side, the side that most rap and hip-hop doesn't talk about, because there's a lot of people who are making either songs about going out and partying and gangbanging, or when you're on the sad songs, it's being sad because your girl left and now you're taking drugs. I'm trying to come at it from the side of, I guess you'd say an outsider, taking the same qualities that you would normally see in a hip-hop song, but coming at it from someone who wasn't really about that life. Everyone's done some sketchy shit, but, I was never out popping pills to get rid of the pain. I was out at a campfire drinking with my friends, telling stories, and that's kind of how I want my music to come across, too. I'm sitting down and I'm talking to you and we're having a conversation. Not just me, preaching it to you,
Oh, so you taking part of what Lil Dicky is doing.
Kind of, yeah, except I want to be, not to say that he's not a phenomenal rapper because his lyricism is crazy, but I want to be taken a little bit more seriously.
Because all I see is when people make music, you're making something that you know personally. I hate when people try to take it and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Because most people who have an idea and who listen to music like religiously like I do, you can tell when somebody's actually been there, done it, and learned from it, or they're still living it versus somebody who's just talking about it from somebody else's eyes but never actually lived it, and they're kind of just going through the motions. And I hate that because that's the trend now in hip-hop, when half of those artists haven't even gone through it. And you look up their lives and like, you were a middle-class family. When the fuck did your ass ever have to sell dope to survive?
Exactly.
Like, your dad was a working blue-collar man and your mama worked. Like, what the hell were you trying to prove? Like, stay in your lane. Talk about what you know. And Eminem gets a lot of flack for that, but I'm like, he talked about what he know. He didn't know nothing else. And that's why he's respected. I'm like, he talked about hating his mom. And they're like, oh, that's not relatable. I'm like, well, shit, it's not about being relatable. But it's about talking about what the fuck you know. And that's what he knew. He didn't like his mom, didn't like his baby mama, loved his daughter. And knew all the shit he was going through and shared it personally. I'm like, I love his music. I can't personally say I ever wanted to kill my mom. But at the same time, everybody at one point was like, man, I hate you, mom, and walked out. Yeah. At one point. You're not going to be not mad at your mom at least once, but may not go to that extent.
Yeah, no, and I get what you're saying perfectly. It's like a lot of people, they want to feel like they're in this spot, like they always had to struggle for something. And the part of thing that I'm pushing, like, because obviously people love that idea of like a rapper talking about a struggle story. And I still kind of do that, but at the same time, I grew up in a middle-class family. So what I'm talking about is the struggles that I've had in life as far as life fucking me over. Because at the same time, just like you were saying with everyone's got to get mad at their mom once, life fucks everyone over at least once. So, talking about problems like that, trying to catch people in relation, like, I'm not trying to tell a story that necessarily appeals to everyone, but I'm trying to tell my shit in a way that it will appeal to everyone.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put you on blast right now. So how about you go ahead and drop 3 bars from your latest song?
All right. Shit. What are we talking about? My last song that I actually finished, or one that's in the works?
Whichever one you decide.
All right. How about some bars from an acapella song? I'll drop you 8.
All right, bet.
They told me life's a blessing, but what I see is a curse in disguise. So while I'm living in reverse, maybe I'll paint out all the lies. Because God said we were made to spit an image of our maker. Then tell me why we made to fall in love with the paper. And now they pulling guns out on their sisters and their brothers. We hollow out their sons and send them lifeless to their mothers. Preaching how secret human life is like a saint. Then make us be the martyr, curse the blood in which you taint.
See, look at that. On the spot, see, some rappers can't do that right then and there. Because some of them be like, nope, can't do it. See, if I had my little thing set up and I played you a beat back and I say rap to the beat, you think you can freestyle?
Shit. I mean, I can try.
See, at least you would try. There's a lot of new school artists be like, you play a new school beat and I'm not going to rap to it. And that's the problem. I'm like, if you're going to be a writer, rapper, artist, at least try in what you're trying to do. Don't try to fake it. Just try is the point. Don't say you can't do something, because that means you not what you say you are. Like, okay, just try. I mean, hell, Shia LaBeouf did a rap. He's not even a rapper. Like, that's embarrassing your ass already. Yeah,
it's just, I get what you're saying. Like, a lot of people, I'm not afraid to show my work, because at the end of the day, it's a work that needs to be shown to other people. So if you're going to ask me, I mean, that's the same thing as you hitting the play button on my song. What's the difference?
Exactly. And sometimes they'll even just actually be like, you already got something written? Go ahead and rap it. Doesn't always have to be a freestyle. Yeah. Because you're always thinking as an artist.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be. I mean, look, truth be told, everyone that I know as an artist, I don't know if you personally make music yourself, but the best freestyles I have are in the kitchen when I'm making my lunch or some shit, or when I'm in the shower.
I love singing in the shower. Ironically, I've written music and they were all while I was driving for Krispy Kreme. It was the weirdest shit in the world. But it had nothing to do with food at all. It was just, And I was just listening to Pandora, and I was like, this would be a great song. I don't know what it was about Krispy Kreme, but I'll shout them out right now because Krispy Kreme is fucking delicious. But I know you've had a donut or two. This is fucking great. But it was something about working for Krispy Kreme as a driver that gave me the inspiration to write all the songs I have right now.
And low key, everybody got their spot. Like, everybody just shows up to one spot, and they're like, right there, that's their most creative spot. Like, around here, we got a local park, and me and my boy, we always go down and we write underneath this one tree. Just, I don't know, it's just that spot. Like, I couldn't write the same bars if I was sitting in a parking lot 50 yards away.
It's just comfort, really. It's a comfort thing. Like, it just makes you feel relaxed and it lets your imagination run wild at that point. And you're like, okay, yeah. And it feels like you're in your deepest thought where you're like, okay, this isn't going to work. You fix that, put that here, put that as the chorus, main melody, boom, boom. You got everything, boom. You just wrote a whole song. The fastest I've ever written a song was in a movie theater when I went to see Rocket Man. And it was a whole song I wrote in 37 minutes when they played Tiny Dancer during the movie.
Holy shit, that is insane.
Yeah, I wrote everything. I was like, I got an idea. And I was like, boom, 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 boom. As soon as Elton John was done with that song, I was like, man, I got it. It's kind of like it's an R&B with a country hook.
Yeah, I fuck with it.
So, it's great. It's just great.
Man, this last project that I'm working on, it's more of a serious one, but it's like, I think I spent 7 hours writing it.
Well, okay. Sure. Time and effort is all that's needed.
Yep, and a lot of people take that for granted. I mean, they think that these rappers just be waking up with millions of dollars in their bank account like they haven't been freestyling since they were 7 or 8 years old.
Exactly, and that's the problem. It's hard work and effort, just like these NBA players. Some kids be like, oh yeah, they just made it because they were born like that. I'm like, no, the hell they weren't. I mean, maybe in height, yes, they were born like that because obviously they got taller, but skill-wise, there's plenty of people that are tall as hell and don't know how to dribble a fucking basketball. They're just
like
terrible.
LeBron didn't come out of the womb making double-tuck reverse layups. Like,
no, that wasn't happening. But once he hit 6'9", it was a lot easier than 6'1". He was like, oh. Yeah, everything's crazy with that. But, I always get hot in this room, and I do not know why. It's freaking ridiculous.
Because you turn up the heat with the questions, man. You can't back down now.
You don't even trip about that. I got questions for days. I don't even worry about that. What made you want to write music in the first place?
So, a funny story about that. There's this guy in our hometown, and I ain't going to drop names in case he listens to this, because he probably will. But he made a song that everyone at our school was shitting on. And so my boy goes, yo, we could probably write a song better than that. And I looked at him, I was like, no shit. So he sat down, and the first song I ever wrote was a joke. And then it just got more serious, because after I wrote that first song, I was like, damn, this shit's kind of nice.
Damn, well, shit. Came out of like, we could write a better song than that shit. I bet you we can. Oh, dang, it was just motivation from right there. Just trying to shit on somebody you knew. I can respect that shit. I mean, hey, ain't nothing wrong with trying to top something and finding out you're great at it.
I mean, I guess you're right.
You gotta find your talent somehow. And look at that. You found your talent doing that.
Exactly,
fuck
man.
that.
And it's like, when we dropped our first song, I was just sitting there in that anticipation, and the first text I get was my, at the time, girlfriend, and she like, my sister wants to talk to you. I'm like, okay, so she give me the phone. She called me. The first words come out of her mouth, why is that song actually good? I'm like, fuck yeah, it's good.
Like, you goddamn right. You better give me my credit. What are you talking about? And in that instance, would you say your mind changed and like maybe I should try to keep doing it, or was it kind of like, man, you didn't pay attention to it at first?
Oh no, so like when I first started writing, are you talking about like when I first started writing, or when I dropped it and I got that like confirmation?
When you got that confirmation.
Oh, when I got that confirmation, I'm telling you, look, I dropped it, song got like 200 plays. when I tell you I was losing my shit, like, I was probably one of the most hype moments I've ever had in my life. And I was just, after all the excitement wore off, I just laid down in my bed and I was like, imagine having this feeling every single time I make a project for the rest of my life. Like, it brought up some sort of joy and pride that I, like, didn't know before. Like, I'd never felt it. And so that's the moment I knew, like, I gotta take this shit seriously, because this is what I want to do.
Wow. And what was the second song you wrote?
Oh, the second song I wrote, I think it's a song titled Cobain Chain with my friend Noda and Damien. And I only had like 4 bars on that song, but it still remains as the favorite project that I've ever been on.
As long as you have fun. A lot of people don't know, with the Dog Pound, with Snoop Dogg's album, he said that was his best album he's ever recorded in his life. Because it was just him and his crew getting high, getting drunk, and just fucking having fun.
Exactly. I mean, that's the mood. I think some of the most fun I've ever had rapping is I was up at a house party with one of my friends, and we were both way too drunk to be talking, but some, like, weird, like, kind of trap beat came on, and we just started freestyling in the middle of a party, and people were hyping us up and shit. Like, just shit like that, it just makes you feel different.
It does. It's like, wow, people are actually listening. And half the time, sometimes you don't even know you're doing it, and you just think it's you and your friend, and then you start hearing a whisper of voices. You're like, oh shit, there's people. I was saying this out loud? Oh my gosh. Wait a minute.
Low key, that's exactly what happened, because I'm sitting there with my friend, and I throw like 2 bars at him, and he's smiling, and he like throws 2 back, and then I started going in, and then I look to my right, and there's just people there that weren't there before. I'm like, oh shit, well, I guess we're doing this.
You're like, we gotta keep going. The party must go on. What genre speaks to you the most when you're trying to make hip hop? If it wasn't just hip hop, what other genre speaks to you as an artist?
I think really the genre that gets me a lot, I would say the R&B would probably be one of my biggest like inspirations, just because it shares a close relationship with hip hop and rap, and especially like I love artists like Khalid, you know, like people that can just go in and they use your voice kind of in like a melodic almost rap, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But as far as my personal thing, I couldn't really give you a specific one, because I pride myself on trying to make things that are in a different genre every single time. So I'd say probably R&B, but I mean, if you were looking at my records, you probably would disagree.
What's the strangest song you've ever had to make?
The strangest?
The strangest song you ever had to make?
Well, I don't know if this classifies as a song, but another time when I was, again, shit-faced and freestyling, I was talking to my boys, and I always, this is my favorite line when I'm freestyling, is give me something to rap about. And me and the boys were eating Taco Bell. They're like, all right, rap about Taco Bell food. So I went on for about 1.5 minutes rapping about Taco Bell.
Huh. Did you end it with running down the gutter with a piece of bread and butter diarrhea? That's exactly how I would have. That's it.
Yo, low-key, that's probably the most fire ending that could have came up with. Sadly, I did not have that on that side.
Man, look, it'd be running down the gutter with a piece of bread and butter diarrhea. Diarrhea. You think it's really funny, but it's really wet and runny. Diarrhea. Diarrhea. Man, look. I can't even take credit for that one. That was all Bob's Burgers when I watched it. I was like, that's funny as hell.
I'm about to steal some bars from fucking Bob's Burgers.
They sing all the fucking time on that show. They even made 2 Thanksgiving songs. And I was like, hey, those are fire. I like it. I like your effort and passion in the writing room.
They got some SoundCloud rapper in there that he's just like begging on every episode. And they're like, all right, you know, I just hop on the mic. He's like, bang.
It's like, you only got about 10 seconds, so make it the best 10 seconds of your life. What song magnified or made your writing more unbreakable for what you were trying to produce musically?
Are you talking about a song that I made or just like a song that I draw influence from?
Both.
So a song that I made that I was really proud of is actually, it ended up being the first song that we released, and not that it was necessarily planned that way, but it's called Mind of a Millionaire. And we were just, me and my boys, we always, whenever we had free time when we were starting writing, we would just sit in like a parking lot or whatever and we'd listen to beats. We were in the parking lot of the mall one day and I hit like the single cleanest freestyle ever on a beat, and I just sat there and I wrote down what I said, and we're like, all right, well, we got to write on this. And that was kind of when my lyricism broke. Like, instead of just making simple puns like everyone starts out doing, I was like, okay, so if I say this here and then I change up the rhyme scheme for this one, I can hit it back with the notion on the third bar, and then I can come back with a punchline that'll play into this, and it just, everything kind of fell into place with it.
Have you ever tried writing backwards?
Occasionally. Like, sometimes I'll write backwards for like a hook or something, but no, most of the time I write straightforward.
Yeah, because I was just thinking, I'm like, when I was listening to Dave Chappelle's Equity and Equality on Netflix, I was like, he literally gave the crowd a punchline, and he says, this is what I would do. Put it in the fishbowl. He would mix it around, pick up, and whatever the sentence, phrase, or word was, he would try to make a joke out of it. And one of them, well, the only one he did was kicked her in the pussy. And he was like, that's the punchline. Y'all already laughing your ass off. I haven't even said the joke. And he literally did it for 10 minutes all the way till he came back to the punchline. And he was like, see? I told you. I was like, damn, he wrote a joke backwards. I'm like, talent. Bravo. Bravo.
That's a talent right there.
It really is underrated. That credit needs to be noticed. In all of your time living and everything you have seen, if you could go back some years, let's say to when you were 17, what would you say to your 17-year-old self if you only had 5 minutes? 5 minutes of his time.
Well, okay, first off, you say that like I'm not 18, so that's not very far back.
All right, let's take it to 14.
All right, if we're talking 14, I would say a few things to him. Number one is I was an ugly little shit in middle school, so I tell myself to stiffen up that little chin because eventually you're going to look half decent. All right, number two, I would say you have to get more invested in music because I was playing instruments at that age, but I wasn't really writing songs or anything. So I guess learning that my passion was music from a younger age would have given me a big advantage. I tell myself that. And the third thing would be to stop putting my value in other people and start putting value in myself. Because I didn't really have that self-confidence until even very recently. So if I would have had that from a young age, I don't know how good I would be at what I'm doing right now.
How'd you build your self-confidence back up?
Well, I mean, I think I started like every man does. You know, I was hitting the gym, changed myself into a body that I could start appreciating. And then mentally, I mean, I went through a breakup that hurt me way worse than it should have because right before that, one of my closest friends passed away. So my whole mindset was like, I've been putting my value into other people this entire time. So, you know, I was going through the shit. And then I just stopped for a second, like a month later, and I was just like, why do I care so much about other people? Why don't I make things for myself that just happen to help other people? Like, why don't I just stop and be proud of what I'm doing for a second instead of working every single day for someone else?
You gotta find that own happiness in oneself in order to spread happiness to others. Just like when people say they want to change the world, I'm like, can't change the world without changing yourself first.
Exactly. That's one of the lessons that I had to teach myself is because I wanted to change everyone else's outlook, but I could never affect myself, so I had to stop and just reteach myself everything.
And ain't nothing wrong with that. You learned it in an early age. You're 18. You're still young. You're taking this jump in life. You're learning from your mistakes early. It's better than learning it when you're 30, I'll tell you that. I'm not 30, but I know people who still haven't fucking figured it out yet. And it's just sad to see. It's like You known your life forever. You've been with yourself forever. You know what you were like. Nobody knows you better than you. You know how to make yourself feel confident. You know how to make yourself feel like you're inspiring others to be great. You know how to make yourself grow in life to be a better man, woman. So you can pass it on to the next generation, whether you have kids or not. So you can pass it on to the next generation, because every impression you make, that person will remember you by, whether it's 2 seconds or 5 minutes. They know exactly from that first impression you gave them.
And that's something that people don't understand. Like, there are people that I knew for years in school, and now I couldn't even bring up their names. But I remember let's say one cashier at Taco Bell that saw I was down in the dumps literally right after I got dumped, and she made her way over and she gave me a cup. And I still won't forget that, and I probably won't forget that till I'm 80 years old. Because the second you make an impact on someone, that's how they remember you. The second you do something, no matter how big it is, no matter how small it is, second you brighten up someone's day and that's the first thing that they think of when they think of you, it's over. That's a positive image for the rest of your life.
Exactly. You never know how they may repay that, whether it's big or small, because you never know who you made that impression on.
Exactly.
And people just need to learn from their mistakes and forgive themselves and forgive the other person. That's important. A lot of people don't forgive themselves from the situation because they don't accept their actions that may have played a part. And then they'll try to forgive the other person without forgiving themselves. And they'll still feel that void of, what am I missing? Why am I still thinking of this? It's self-reflection for a reason. You got to take a step back and say, okay, I fucked up here and here. And I know what they did, but let me take the time out to gather my thoughts and see my inequalities and fix those. So the next time, it's not going to happen.
Exactly. And I think people are just too scared to look at their flaws and face them, you know? I think that if people just take a second and, like, really think, like, well, maybe I didn't do this right, that people would really get to those conclusions a lot faster.
We both know. We'd be surprised at how many people don't.
I know.
Ever. It's like, man. Or when people try to say, man, you've changed, man. What happened to the kid you know? I'm like, that kid's dead. Obviously, figuratively, but it's like, you can't expect me to be the same damn person I was in high school. I've been out of high school for, it's been 7 years now? Yeah, 7 years. Why the hell would I be the same person you met in high school? I hope I grown. I'm 24 fucking years old. I hope I got my shit together somewhat.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with me. It's like, I mean, if I have changed already from my high school years, and I've only been fully graduated for a year now, like, how could you not? Like, that, it's more of an insult to say, man, you're the same person as you were, because, like, oh, I'm the same retard that you knew that didn't know a damn thing about life.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, insulting and shit. Like, it's some people who've known me all my life, they'll say some things don't change. I'm like, obviously, some things, like, if I'm goofy, and I was goofy then, and I'm goofy now, I just do it in an adult manner, obviously you're going to say I didn't change. It's just my demeanor and my jokes may have changed. Like, I don't mind being the same, like, adventurous, out of person. Like, it don't matter to me. I'm just not doing the same dumb shit I was doing back then because I, got some act right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, man, I remember being your age, literally, 18. I was fresh out of high school, and a guy walked up to me. He was around 16. Went to the high school I went to at Highland Park, and he was like, hey, man, how's it been going? We chatted up for like a minute and a half. And he said, how long you been out of high school? I was like, a year. I'm only 19, about to be 20. And he was like, damn, you're old. I'm like, bitch, first off, I am 2 years older than you. We went to high school at the same damn time. How am I old? Like, that was the most insulting thing I've ever heard. I know I'm off track, but I'm like, damn. I'm old, really? 19, 20, old?
Hey, some people just built like old men. I mean, maybe that's what he was trying to say.
I'm like, first off, I don't like you now because I didn't even know who the fuck the kid was. He just knew me. I'm like,
Man, that's the worst.
it's like, damn, I didn't even he knew me because I played football with his brother. I'm like, bro, I never went over your house. I don't know who the fuck you are. Like, come on now, bro. You in front of your girl. I have my ex right here. Like, the fuck? No. like you gonna be my age in 2 years, so shut the fuck up.
There ain't never been a situation worse than someone coming up to you and trying to talk, like, from your high school, and you're like, dude, I don't have a damn... I can't even pull a name up for you.
Exactly. It's like, because I was so... If I had to describe me in high school, it was more like... Oh, I don't even fucking know. I'll just say energetic. That I used to do these broadcasts. Like, we used to have morning announcements and everything saying what was going on in high school or in the world, whatever. It was short. It was usually like 15 minutes. So we used to do those, and I would come on ever so often. And the first one I did to get my name on the board so people would remember me was, you remember the Old Spice commercials?
Oh, yeah. How could you forget?
Yeah, with the guy on the quadricorn and everything, you know? Yeah, okay. So I did that commercial with the quadricorn, right? I did the one where he was saying, look down, back up, what do you see? You're on an island in Maui. Like, I did that one. That was my first one. I wasn't allowed to have my shirt off, but I wore a tank top, so that was something. Like, I did it all. I did Nickelodeon, all that, where it was Kenan Thompson, and he used to be in a bubble bath with flippers on, and he would speak like bad French and then like communicate it back like terribly. He would be like, "Les enfants, David, les enfants, please get your pickles out of my shoe." So he would do like little shit like that. Make no sense, but that's what he did. So I would do like little spoofs like that, and that's how everybody got to know me. I would do the Pledge of Allegiance and say what I wanted to say in the beginning, do the pledge, and then I would introduce the morning announcements how I wanted to. So I've been an entertainer for a minute. I just never took that jump until 2 months ago.
Oh, shit. 2 months ago, huh?
Yeah, it was when I started this podcast.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so this is new. To me, at least, I feel like I've been doing it forever. But that's because I've been entertaining people forever.
Yeah.
And I think that's just who I am. It's not that they like it. It's just that I like being, not the center of attention, because I can be quiet as a church mouse. But I like seeing people happy.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing people sad and they're dumb. It's like, male or female, it don't matter. I have approached a female and a male who were crying in public. And I asked, what can I do?
Yeah.
Out of random.
That's a good mentality to take. I mean, a lot of people now they're too scared to reach out a hand to even people that they know. So, like, I mean, you trying to help strangers, that's never a bad thing, you know?
Yeah, it's just like a comfort thing of like, I don't want no backlash from what somebody else did. Like,
Yeah, just not to worry about that shit. Normally, people mind their own business.
Yeah, now. What's your biggest fear in life?
My biggest fear in life is probably growing old, being like some 85-year-old man and looking back being like, damn, I had one shot at life and I didn't do anything that I'm proud of. Like imagine being an old man and like trying to tell your stories to your kids and realizing you don't got a damn thing that's interesting. Or that's going to excite them enough to be like, yo, like my grandpa did this, you know. I want to be one of those grandpas that the kids can't shut up about.
Exactly.
Proud of them, you know?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, you have stories every time they come over. Like, tell us the story, Grandpa. I got you.
Exactly. Like, they're like, hey, tell us a story. And I'm like, yo, your parents around? They're like, nah. I'm like, all right, so this is the time I smoked weed with Snoop Dogg. Like, just some shit like that.
Yeah, and they'll be like, who's Snoop Dogg? Because he'll be old by that time. He's like, oh, buddy, let me go ahead.
Be a generation soon. I don't know who Snoop Dogg is.
It's like, come on. I'm in the generation where some of them may not know who Busta Rhymes is or Ludacris is. So it's like, Okay, let me explain to you real quick who the hell they are.
Listen, I don't care how old you get. Nobody's too old for Luda.
Nobody.
Or too young for Luda.
Like, come on, man. The first, now, I shouldn't have heard this in 5th grade. I said it on my other podcast. And yes, I'm going to repeat it, my audience. My first song I ever heard that was full on, like, heavy down south rap from Atlanta, Georgia, was in 5th grade. I listened to Lil Jon when it was his Crunk Juice album. And if you never heard his Crunk Juice album, it has 2 songs on there kids should not listen to. One of them is called Real Nigga Roll Call, and another one is called Get Crunked. When I heard Real Nigga Roll Call, I was like, Lord have mercy. What the fuck did I just click on? I was like, my mama's going to beat my ass if I hear this. Now, the killer part is, I heard this song in school. I'm in elementary school on the computer listening to this song. Yeah. I've never forgot. What was the website? It was called Music something. I think Music. It was a little before Pandora. It was like when Pandora was first launching. I'm talking a while ago, but that's what I used to listen to, and I was like, "Holy shit, I like this." And that's where I first got introduced to Ice Cube too, because he was on as a feature. I was like, "Oh yeah." 2 raunchiest ass rappers I could get to.
That's a hell of a start for rap.
Hell yeah. I was over
like my 7th or 8th grade year, visiting my cousin in Georgia, and I started listening to Kendrick Lamar. You know, I heard ADHD, like Good Kid, Mad City. Like, it hit something inside of me. I'm like, okay, this shit's kind of nice.
Mm. You heard Section 80, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Man. If you could give any inspiration or any... What's the word I'm looking for? Any inspiration or any advice.
Advice?
Yeah.
Okay.
To people your age, older, or even younger, to start on the path they want to, what advice would you give them?
Well, you know what? I'll throw out one for every tier. So, for people that are older than me, and they still don't necessarily know what they want to do. And I've seen a lot of people that they get older, you know, they're up in their 20s, even 30s, and they're just starting to make music. And they think, you know, maybe I'm too old for this. Maybe I shouldn't be starting this. Man, I follow a school teacher on TikTok. Man's like 43. And he drops some of the hottest, like, old school bars over some old-ass boom-bap instrumentals you've ever heard in your damn life. Like... There is no wrong age to start making music. And that goes for anything. Whatever you want to do, there's no wrong age to start. For people my age and younger, everyone has seen all these, like, young stars blowing up, like Mosey and, you know, people like Tekka. And Tekka's still in school. Like, he's young as hell. Like, I don't want to come off as cocky, but in one regard, we're like a generation of success. We're in an age where people that are young, still in school, they're making millions of dollars. They're making names for themselves before they make a diploma with their name on it. Like, there is no wrong time to start doing anything that you're passionate about. And the earlier you start, the earlier you get your shit figured out and know what you want to do and start working towards it, the more likely you are to take off. I mean, same thing with athletics. Like, I mean, look at Zion. Kid's been balling out since he could hold a basketball, and now look at him, signed out of high school. Like, I just think my advice to people is that everyone gets a little scared when they're trying to do something ambitious. But those people who actually succeeded never back down. So you got to make your choice.
And those that can get hit and can get right back up, because like you said, life is going to throw you a curve and it's going to knock you down. And
I get that. Like, I went from getting scouted as a D1 football prospect and having a D3 confirmation, and then I got injured, and then all of those deals just walked out the door. Like, there is no plan in life that is too solid. You just got to keep grinding.
Exactly. That's why they always say you got to have a plan B. Hell, have a plan C. It ain't even going to hurt for you to have a plan C on top of the plan B. You could have many things you want to do. And you could do all of them. You could start on your main topic. Work that up. Once you have the great foundation for that, start working on your second thing. Just because you're passionate about it. So your first thing's already taken off. Start on your second thing. Then somebody asks you the question, because you do a lot of interviews. They're going to ask you, what would you be doing if you weren't ever an artist? It's like, well, I would be doing this plan B I'm doing anyway. Because if my plan A falls over, like some businesses did during COVID, they had a plan B, and that's what they're doing. Because I always tell people, expect the unexpected, but prepare for success. Prepare for success, but expect the unexpected, because the unexpected will hit you in the fucking face out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, trust me, I understand that. Like right now, look, I'm telling everyone if they're listening, if anyone's made it this far in the podcast, I'm telling you right now, have a plan C, because I guarantee you my hot ass is on it, all right? I am on my plan C, borderline plan B. I'm just trying to make it through. But still ain't giving up what I love.
Never give up on what your true love is. Because you never know. That could be your one love, and you got to go balls deep in it. You just got to jump in the deep end sometimes and say, you know what? Fuck it. I'll give you my all. And I know you'll give me my all.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, people have talked to me, like, even my brother, he's like, look, I think you're putting a little bit too much time into this hobby. And I'm like, listen, I can always go back and I can recuperate the money that I spend on beats and mixing and promotion and stuff like that. But I can't go back 50 years from now and start at the age of 18, because that's not how life works. So I would rather get all my shit out on the table right now and realize either, hey, I'm going to make it big, or I guess it wasn't meant to be, rather than just sit back and let life decide, and when I'm 60 be like, oh, well, what if?
Yeah, what ifs are the worst things in the world. See, if I would have done this, I use the word if I would have done this.
Yeah.
What if you did do it? You wouldn't be in this position, maybe. Mm-hmm. You don't know. Because
one thing that I love to live by is if the sentence starts with if, that's a mistake. You've already made the mistake. It's like, these people, they want to go out and they want to be talking like, well, I could have done this if this would have happened. Like, nah, look, I talk about my college football thing because I'm telling people to be prepared. I'm not sitting back losing sleep every night like, what if? I tried to do that, and life told me nah. So, yeah, it hurt, but I took a step back and I was like, all right, that's not what I was supposed to do, and I kept working. The second you keep talking to yourself when you're older and you're like, well, if this would have happened, I could have done this. You made the mistake, and you can't fix it at this point. And that's the worst time to start asking the question.
Indeed, everybody got to take a peek at Shaq's biography that I read in high school, that when he made it out of college from LSU, he got his first check. And he's always said that he was blessed to have the agent, the manager, and the people around him, especially his father. His agent told him, you get that first check, this is what you're going to do. What does every young kid want to do with big money? Blow it. They're going to buy something big, do some dumb shit with it. At this point, he's like 22. He's going in the NBA, 21, 22. So his manager says, blow that first check. However much it was a lot, because he was number one overall. Everybody knows how great he is. He said, after that, you only get to keep 10% of whatever that check is. Everything else goes into investments and saving.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this man owns more businesses than I've ever heard any athlete owning. He owns 23 car washes. Mm-hmm. And he owns a bunch of other little restaurants and food chains. And I'm like, oh, you had the best mentor of your life. And he was like, a lot of people don't get that.
Yeah, that guy owns like 56 Papa John's locations. You telling me he's not pulling in bank even by the time he's so old it's irrelevant?
Exactly.
My man is on like 7 grinds at once, and that's what makes him great.
He's like,
even if he wasn't putting up the stat lines, even if he was putting up like a Lou Williams stat line, which isn't horrible, but it's nothing notable. This man's making money moves every second of the day, and he don't got to get his ass up off the couch.
Like right now, if he stopped being on ESPN, he's still making money regardless. He doesn't have to do anything he needs to do. Like, oh yeah, I'll go be on Sports Center. Oh yeah, I'll be in the players only meeting. He was like, he don't have to do any of that. But he had a mentor and he had a father that was there for him, that guided him in the right direction, and he's blessed every day to be like, I'm glad they pushed me to only 10%. Because 10% is a lot of his check of whatever he was getting.
Oh yeah.
But I know he was like, I'm happy as hell they made me only keep that 10%. Because now, living life like it's golden, he could literally stop what he's doing and retire, and his kids will still be good.
Yeah. No, that's the thing with that. Like, you always hear these horrible stories of, like, these athlete stars going broke because they didn't know how to manage their money. And then you have someone like that. You just sit back and you let your money work because of smart decisions. And, I mean, you are sitting pretty for the rest of your life. That man could stop everything he's doing, everything productive. He could sit back. He could hire a personal chef or order food every day. Man could sit down and watch Netflix until he croaks, and his kids would have enough money to go to college and then some after he's done.
And the killer part is, his kids wouldn't even have to really use the money because they all got scholarships, so it's irrelevant anyway.
Look, this is assuming that his son couldn't ball, all right?
Yeah, so
talking about him like he's not a 4-star prospect.
that man will put you in, boy, look, he's got better handles than his dad, but he's got the power like his dad. That's a problem.
Listen. I've seen 5-year-olds with better handles than Shaq, all right? Let's not talk about that.
Hey, he'll try to cross you up now. He don't care. He's in his 50s.
Yeah,
he'll
try to cross me up, but I'll steal it if he doesn't dunk on me.
Oh, it's always great. And on this podcast, we always try to have fun, get to topics. You know, they may be irrelevant, but hell, you're still learning something. You can't say you're not.
Exactly, and I mean, they're not really irrelevant. I mean, you're talking to someone, we're having a conversation. It's less like an interview, but you learn more about people like that.
Exactly. That's why I always tell people, like I said on 2 podcasts ago, I don't want this to feel like an interview, like you got to sit down and answer the fucking questions I have. No, we're going to have a conversation. Like, I'm talking to you one-on-one. There's no mic. There's no nothing. I want you to feel comfortable, like you're at your house. You take your socks off. Maybe one's halfway off while you're trying to play COD online with your friends, and you get distracted. Now you need a cup of water, all that. I want you to feel comfortable and relaxed when you're talking to me.
You speaking from experience? Like,
hey, ain't nothing wrong with this show. I'm drinking water as we speak because I'm thirsty.
Man, be leaning back. He got them pizza rolls laid out on his stomach. He taking his shoes off right now.
You see how comfortable you get? See, that's all it is. Because I want everybody to be great and comfortable in the situation they get into, but never get complacent. Because once you get complacent in where you at, that's when you start teeter-tottering, and that's when you fall. You work hard to get where you at, and you're going to work harder to build wealth. There's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. Shaq is building wealth. That man wants his children's children to be all right. Being rich is being stupid, like some of these artists right now, and hell, some of the NBA players, where you use it, you save a little bit, but you use it all the time, and then boom, once you're dead, that money's dead with it. Because they owe back taxes, alimony, they gotta pay back people they didn't pay. So the lawyers on their ass about who gets what sum of money, and now the wife's on their ass, maybe because they have a baby mama issue. So it's like, if you don't have all your ducks in a row and you don't try to establish a foundation of what you want to do, who you want to be, and where you want to go, that's when problems start lurking, because you didn't dot all your I's and cross all your T's.
Exactly. And I feel like, personally, like, anyone who lives ambitiously and wants more out of life, I feel like being comfortable is almost a damn problem. Like, right now, I'm comfortable with my life, so that is the problem. That's why I'm always trying to push, like, okay, I got to get more. I got to get this DJ's attention. I got to do this. I got to apply here so I can grind for money because I'm spending a little too much on my music. You know, it's just, no one should ever sit back and be complacent with a life that isn't star-studded, you know?
Exactly. And I get that 100%. And all I want you to do is be great. And remember your roots. Never forget your roots. A lot of people want to forget their roots. I'm like, don't forget your roots, where you came from. Whether it was average home, whatever, middle class, whether it was from the slums or whether your family was really all the way at the top already. There's a lot of kids, like, example, Denzel Washington's son. He was born into wealth. He was already born into it. His father, great actor. Every movie, that man's pulling in 10 million or more. He said, I don't want to build up on my dad's legacy. I want to build my own. I want to do it my way. I want to do it from bottom to the top, just like my dad did, but I don't want my name to get me ahead of life just because my last name is Washington.
Exactly. And I hope if I do become great one day that my kids have the same mentality. Because I'm not building this story so that my kids can live it. I'm building it so they think, damn, he really was a role model. I got to do something that's just as great as he did.
Exactly. And then that's when the competition starts. And now you got to watch your kids. And it's like, I want you to do better than me. Don't try to be me. Try to do better than me.
Exactly. Like, if I go up and I become, let's say, a household name type of rapper, you know, your Kendricks, your Coles, your Drakes, like, I want my son to go out and do something that's just as great, if not better. I want to be taught by my kid because that shows me, like, man, I really taught him something, you know?
Exactly. And you could just sit back and relax and be like, I lived my life and I'm sure going to let my son live his. But he better call me because I'll whoop his ass still.
Man, I'll drop a diss track on my own son if he don't call me.
Shit, I don't think it's a game, son. I know where you came from and I'll send you back.
Boy, you came out me. I'll put you right back.
Don't try me. Don't try it, please. I got all the time in the world now.
Oh, no.
Any closing topics, questions, comments, concerns that you would like to leave with the listeners? Anything in all?
I got two things to say. First off, I appreciate you letting me be on here, even though we've never formally met. I'll definitely be following you from now on because you seem like an amazing dude with some really good sights. So I appreciate everything we've been talking about. I appreciate the way you approach this and everything. And hope everything works out well for you. And for the people that are still listening, I mean, look, I'm a white dude from a middle-class family, and I rap, and people fuck with it. And people from everywhere fuck with it. We got listeners in the UK. We got listeners on the East Coast. We got listeners here in AZ. Like, if you want to do something, go do it. What are you afraid of? There's no reason to be afraid of it because I promise you when you get older, the second you look back and you're like, man, I really could have done something with that, it's already too late and you don't waste an entire lifetime without even thinking. It's better to try and fail than to live with that thought because I promise when you live with that thought, it gonna haunt you at night. But me, I go to sleep without regrets.
That's a beautiful thing to live by, and I hope all y'all took note and took part in this podcast. You already know who you heard it from. You already know where it's coming from, and you all know it's out of love. Got the artist Vice on the track with me. Great interviewee. Great man. Check him out. I'm going to have him in the descriptions where you can find him, where you can follow him, where his next dates will be. He's going to send me a track or two of his music so I could put it on this podcast so everybody knows and how great he is. But I'm going to leave you with this. If I don't make an impression on you at all, I want you to remember me by this. This has been Lil Snoopy on the track 1-2. I had to talk. I had to say what was on my mind. And always remember, love, peace, and hair grease. I'll see y'all next week.